Welcome back to Golf Quest, everyone. In this special video, we're going to break down how my bargain hunting friend managed to put together this spectacular simulator space for just a fraction of what the retail cost would have been. We're going to go over his strategies, his total cost, and the dimensions of the space. You're not going to want to miss this. So to start, we're going to break down the main components of the sim build, starting with probably the most important part, in my opinion, which is the hitting mat, because if you get this wrong, your body's going to pay the price. The mat that Steve put in his simulator space is the Fiberbuilt 4x7 Grass Series Studio mat. And this is one of the best mats on the market for ease on your joints. And I can attest to that personally because I have this same mat in my sim space, and I switched to it after using another mat, which I loved, the Country Club Elite mat, but it was so hard on my joints. When I switched to this, my body thanked me. Another huge benefit of this mat is it sits on a really heavy rubber base. So when you set it up, it doesn't budge. It won't shift around during your round or while you're swinging and practicing. Other mats can do that. It becomes quite irritating. This one won't. It also has an area to the side. If you're using a launch monitor that sits to the side like SkyTrack, which is what I use, perfect for that setup. Just sits right there, doesn't move. And by the way, there's really no vibration. So when you hit this, it doesn't bump the SkyTrack and create misreads. You can just take it right off the feet. It sits level. It's perfect. I highly recommend this mat. Now you won't believe what Steve paid for this. It retails for 1,600 Canadian. I'll put the US price equivalent in the corner as well. He used a site called Kijiji, and here in Canada, that is the equivalent of eBay classifieds. Found this mat posted and was able to negotiate a price of $650, saving him $950. Unbelievable find. But he was patient and persistent, and this was the result. Next up on the list is the screen and net enclosure. Steve is going with the beautifully crafted and highly durable net return home system. This one is the 7x7 version. This beauty retails for $978 plus tax. Steve had to be patient to find a net return on Kijiji, but when he did, he pounced and he was able to secure this one for $725. Maybe not as drastic a savings as he found on the Fiberbuilt mat, but that's hard to do, but still a really good deal, and he saved the tax. It was in beautiful condition, which also speaks to the durability of the product. Now, to be clear, we're talking about the net return system, which is kind of hidden between two other things right now. We have the screen, which is not included, and this covering at the back, the balance, also not included. Each of those pieces Steve did break down and buy at the retail price, and each of them were actually the same price of $350 Canadian plus tax. So that was another $700 added on. The screen, if you want to project, is a must. You have to add it on. The valance may not be as necessary as the screen, but for someone like Steve who has backlight coming in, you really don't want that coming through the net and washing out the picture on the screen. So the valance takes care of that problem. Plus, it tidies everything up and makes it look really sharp. Steve also had these frame guards thrown in with his Kijiji purchase. They just pop on the corners like this, one for each side. They retail at $84, and he got those thrown in for free. For the computing aspect, Steve went with an iPad instead of a high-end gaming laptop. You save a lot of money that way. Now, you do lose a little bit of graphical capabilities, and not all software is compatible with iOS. However, if you're able to make it work, this is very user-friendly, it's portable, and it's much cheaper. Brand new, this iPad retailed for $450, but Steve didn't stop there. He was able to secure a brand new unboxed iPad on Kijiji for $350, saving yet another $100 plus tax. Retail price was paid for the projector. However, that doesn't mean it wasn't budget friendly. This is the Wimius K7, and it was purchased off of Amazon for $279. And for that price point, you really can't go wrong. It produces a beautiful picture. It has extra features like AirPlay. It's really everything you need for a much cheaper price. And that brings us to arguably the most important piece of the simulator puzzle, the launch monitor. The Garmin R10 is already one of the most cost-effective launch monitors on the market. It retails for $780. Shockingly, Steve was able to land it for just $400. How, you ask? Well, there was a little luck involved in this one. An acquaintance of Steve managed to win the unit at a Stag and Doe, but he didn't need it, so he was willing to let it go at a lot less than the retail price. So Steve swooped in and offered $400. everyone was happy. Sometimes you just get lucky. Now, if you are going with the Garmin R10 and you're using it indoors like this space, you're gonna wanna pick up some of the Titleist RT balls. They have a metallic strip on the inside and it helps the unit pick up spin a lot more accurately. Without them indoors, this unit, not so good. With them, surprisingly accurate. In fact, if you're interested in seeing how the R10 stacks up against a unit like SkyTrack, we're gonna put that out in another video, so stay tuned for that. If you add up all those components plus tax, it would have cost $5,493 retail. But with the bargain hunting, Steve was able to secure it for $3,221, a savings of $2,272 or 41% off. Wow. Now let's take a look at some of the other optional things in the SimSpace and we'll break down the cost for those two. So some of the extras include the decorative turf, which came from Lowe's, approximately $300 Canadian. The IKEA table, which holds the projector and a few other items, $20 from Kijiji. 2 small ceramic heaters, which is pretty crucial when you're playing in the garage in a Canadian winter. 36-inch TV, used and handed down for free. The beautiful SkyTrack Club Rack, which you can order directly from the SkyTrack site. This came in at $200 Canadian. All right, let's talk dimensions, because if you're setting up your own space, this is going to be important information for you. From the back of the net return to the end of where you need to put the Garmin R10, you need to give yourself 18 feet, and that's pretty much a minimum. So if you have 18 feet, you should be good to go. If you have more than that, you're golden. The width of this space is 10 feet across. So again, if you have 10 feet, should be okay to swing a club. People often talk about how much ceiling height do you need. This ceiling is a ridiculous 11.5 feet. You don't need 11.5 feet. That's more than enough. You can get away with 9 to 9.5, depending on how tall of a person you are. But I have 9.5 in my garage, and I have no issues whatsoever. From the back of the net to the front of the mat is 8.5 feet, and from the front of the net to the front edge of the mat is about 5 feet 4 inches. So hopefully those dimensions help you out when you're planning out your space. Well, thanks, Steve, for inviting us into your space.
Oh, no problem. I love it here, and I love everybody to see it. So I'm happy to have this on your channel.
He does love it. Talks about it all the time. All right, so I am a terrible negotiator. I hate doing it. I actually much prefer just to pay the asking price. And I know I lose out that way. So share with our audience some of the tips and tricks you would suggest to get a good deal.
Absolutely, Jay. And I love negotiating. I love Kijiji Marketplace. I buy everything on there. I just enjoy the process. The first one I would say is never pay the asking price. Even when the asking price is a good price and you would pay it anyway, you can do better. Always offer something a little less.
And that happened with the mat, right?
It did happen with the mat.
Like, that's an incredible price. I couldn't believe, I remember you told me you were getting it for $650 and I'm like, wait, how much is it retail? And I'm like, what? But that's not even what he was offering, right?
You know, he had it, he was offering it for $800, which is already what, half?
Yeah, it's amazing
of the, retail. And I went in at, I think, I don't know the exact details, but I think I went in around 600 and then ultimately went up to 650.
See, and that's where I would have lost out. So you knocked another 150 off. I would have seen that deal and like, that's amazing, I'm paying it.
Yeah.
And you had the foresight to go, no, I can get it for lower. Yeah, great. All right, what else you got for us?
And that leads me to the next point was, don't be afraid to lose in order to win in the end. So, you know, that was a great price, 800. You know, you might turn someone off by already a great price going down even lower to 600. So that could end things right there. But something else will come along at some point. So don't be afraid to lose to win.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And I would be afraid to lose for sure.
The next one is to talk to people, writing complete sentences and just be a human being. I find when I'm the seller and people try to make offers to me and they just write like $100 and they don't communicate in any way. They just write figures, sales figures, and that kind of turns me off. So I like to start off by, you know, oh, is it still available? Are you willing to negotiate, or is this the final price? Kind of go in soft before really going in with a number.
Yeah, and that's a great point. I haven't sold a lot, but I have sold before on things like Kijiji. And some people are just arrogant in the way they come across.
Yeah.
It's like, and when you turn their offer down, they're like insulted, telling you that you'll never get the price that you're asking for and that kind of stuff. So I can see that, because that totally would turn me off as well. So that's good.
Yeah.
All right, and you have one more?
Go low, but not too low. So you don't want to turn them off, but you want to get the price you want to get. So go low, but know you're willing to go up a little bit to kind of win, but make them feel like, you know, they're also part of the negotiation as well.
Yeah, and I think that's, you have to give a little too,
yeah,
right? You
so
have to
even
go back and forth.
With the fiber bill, like I went down and then I came up,
Right.
to meet them up a bit as well.
I think the other thing too, from hearing your story, some things I've learned from you is you tend to, once you get it though, you pick it up quick, right? You go get it before, you know, they change their mind or they sell it to someone else. So, you know, you don't waste any time in that. Because I think some people hem and haw, I can be there next week, and then have you really made the sale?
Yeah, and then it's,
you're all over it.
It's got to be immediate. It's got to be like even that day or like the next day.
And I think the other thing is you have to be patient. Like items like this don't pop up all the time. And I know from knowing you and kind of going through this experience with you, you were patient. You waited, the fiber bill came up, and you were looking every day. If you are trying to copy Steve and get those budget prices, just give yourself time. If you want it all tomorrow, well, you're going to have to pay retail most likely. Yeah. But if you're willing to wait and build it up over time, be patient. He did it all, I would say, what, a year and a half?
Yeah.
Something like that?
About a year and a half.
All those details. And you weren't even looking for all of those pieces during that time. No. So could maybe done it faster. But that's great, Steve. Love the space, love the upgrades you've done to it. And thanks for having us in.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, give us a like, hit that bell notification, all that wonderful stuff. It does wonders for the channel. Thanks so much. We do have a video coming about the R10, comparing it to the SkyTrack, so stay tuned for that, and we'll see you next time on Golf Quest.